hello, and welcome. I am Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and you are with us for Rockin the Love.
We're
Good
so glad you're here
afternoon.
today.
And just a note, that beautiful scene behind us is, I believe, sunset from when we were married in Wailea, which is just up the road from Lahaina. So we're just holding all of them in prayer and knowing that everyone's getting what they need. So
Amen
just
to
want to
that.
acknowledge that.
Amen to that. That's funny. That's great that you put that up there. I've actually had Hawaii on as my backdrop on all my Zoom calls, just based on being there and holding them in prayer and all of that.
Yeah, I've read some interesting articles about, please don't send us any more clothes, which kind of struck me as ironic. I mean, not ironic, but it was kind of funny. I was thinking about, Hawaii. I mean, if you have a couple pairs of shorts and a couple of shirts, clothes aren't the main thing you need in a situation like this.
Right. Anyway, so we are Rockin the Love. I am Robyn, as I said. That's Gil. We are a married couple who are living apart right now. He is in New Mexico, and I am in Oakland, California at the moment. And however, we're together. We're together in spirit, and we were fortunate enough to have about a week and a half together last week, and yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. So we are Rockin the Love, and like us on your pages. Add us to your alarms that go off and tell you when you're supposed to be here. Do whatever it is you need to do because it's so much more fun when you're there and talking with us. So, that said, last week we had one of our audience members who asked a great question. Hey, Wayne, so good to see you. We haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Glad you're back here with us. Yes, we are all one with the cosmos and so glad to be part of it with you. So anyway, our audience member Kent asked, "What's the difference between calling and purpose?" Which stuck with me the whole week. And Gil and I had some conversations about it, and we just have been pondering that question. So today, our topic is calling on your purpose. Calling on your purpose. And we're going to discuss it. We're going to go a little deeper into that calling, purpose, passion conversation. Hi, Shay. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, anything else you want to say, Gil?
I am producing today.
At the moment, Gil is producing. Our producer is at the World Parliament of Religions, and they are in Chicago and having a great time. And I've heard that it's just been amazing, that the workshops have been amazing, that last night they did a meditation at the lake, and that this morning they got to hear from Marianne Williamson, who is just a powerhouse of it all.
Of calling and purpose.
Of calling and purpose and passion.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, we'll discuss that more at some point, but we've actually had the great fortune of being in a group with Marianne, a small group of what are we?
13.
New thought leaders.
There you go.
And I'm continually amazed by the woman that she is, and I was saying to somebody this morning, actually to her assistant, I was saying, people know Marianne as, woo woo smart and woo woo great and, woo woo spiritual, that kind of, you look to her for that, she's that kind of icon. But they don't know how brilliant she is and like her thoughts on the world and government and ways to heal the planet.
Yeah. I think we sometimes assume because we see somebody in a particular arena where they're living out their call or their purpose, and we kind of then think that some of those things that we see there don't necessarily apply to the rest of their lives, and we forget, you know. And so it's really fun to see somebody and to realize how all of those things work together, how some of us can separate those things and not put them together. But the people that have that gift to be able to see how it's all woo-woo, or it's all science, or it's all one, no matter how you look at it. So
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I go to what I said on a call that we were on with her, because she's also very human and very much connect. I mean, like, I don't know. I'll speak for myself, but sometimes I don't always equate people that I see as having a great life or high stature or successful in what they do as having the same emotions as we do, because why? They're successful. I mean, it's not that I don't, but it just doesn't happen.
well, it's
And
not something we witness in the same way.
right, we don't get to see that side of them. And on this call, she was having some feelings about the last time she ran for office and all of that. And one of the things that I said to her was that, I thanked her for doing it again, because I really think what she's doing is like, I'm sure there's some great technical metaphor that you can say, Gil, after I say this, but like she's she's creating the roadmap. She's creating the way. Yeah, she may not be the president, or she may not get to whatever position she aspires to, but she's normalizing people talking about love and people connecting on a human level, and all of the things that we all stand for as new thought leaders, and in that place of oneness and equality and fairness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this is something she says, each of us has a unique part to play in the healing of the world. And that's sort of that very holistic way that she sees things. That it's not just about our unique part to play in our spiritual growth or in assisting other humans. It's the healing of the world, which to me is all of it.
Yep. All right, but we weren't gonna. This wasn't our topic.
Kind of
It is a fine topic, and we should come back and talk about it at some point. It would be great. So before we go on to
so just so you know, we our guests are chatting amongst themselves now. So I just want to say that's cool. Thank you, Shay, for bringing that up. And Wayne is out there for all of us, I think.
Yes, Wayne is out there, and thank God. So okay, so as we continue, let's do the good news. What do you got, Gil?
All right, what do I got? Well, where to go? Oh, here we go. So something that caught my attention this last week was a court case in Montana. And I read a little bit of the background on it, and it's quite fascinating. But a group of primarily younger people, college students, sued the state because of the way they would allow fossil fuel industry to operate within the state. And the judge agreed with them that it was unconstitutional. What's really fascinating is that they have a pair of state laws that prevent the state from evaluating climate impacts when approving energy and mining projects. So it's really important to know what climate impacts are happening unless it's related to energy or mining. And interestingly, Pennsylvania and New York also have similar things in their constitution. And so this is huge that the judge says that doesn't make sense and it's not okay, because that's going to, I'm sure, end up with lawsuits, et cetera, in other states, which will clean things up. The thing is, we've all seen these kinds of laws where they say you can't, whatever the regulations are, we exempt those in certain situations for the people we want to make sure get something, but it doesn't make any sense. It's just about money and power and politics. And so this is really huge. So I thought that was really good news.
Wow, that's fascinating. I mean, and I was wondering when you were saying that, do you think that some of that is just like old laws on the book? Do you think
No.
it's all like
No, it's very specific. I mean, we find that we've seen it in other areas. At the moment, I'm struggling to think of an example, but I've seen these kinds of things before, which just, you go, what? We're literally, not only would they say, you're exempt from that, but you're not allowed to do that.
right.
You're not allowed to look and see if there's any climate issues or any environmental impacts.
Right.
Because if you do look, you'll find some, and therefore now they'll have to figure out how to put a project through when it clearly shouldn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are the little things that we don't always understand when we're voting for those propositions, right?
Exactly.
It's the way it's written, and certain things just kind of slide by. So, yeah, that's great. That's
So
great.
I do want to acknowledge that I will be relinquishing the duties of of our Michael Mangus, who is back in his chair producing for us. I believe he's eating a Chicago hot dog at the moment. I'm not clear. Yeah. So anyway, welcome, Michael. Glad you made it.
All right. So,
What about you? What's your good news?
I'm going to tell you. My good news is about, I was deciding whether or not I was going to comment on what you were saying. That was my pause, but I'm not. So, my good news is about a Houston woman who spent 3 days crawling in storm drains trying to rescue puppies. And I picked this story because I was like, when I read about it and heard about and saw this video of her crawling through the drains and going down in the night and going through the cockroaches and the stuff that's in the sewers, and I was like, this is clearly her passion. She clearly has a purpose that and it was not her first time doing this, that she spent days crawling in and out of storm drains and manhole cover things in Houston, searching for abandoned puppies. And apparently, there's a section in Houston that is known, famous for puppy dumping, and they dump them, and then they get lost in the drain. And somebody called and reported it, or she has a page on Facebook for rescuing puppies,
Mm-hmm.
and they reported it. And so she went out and she said that Houston was supportive in that they unlocked the drains and they removed moving manhole covers so that she could go in and out of and do what she needed to do. Not that anyone helped her, but they gave her a map. You got to call it progress, though. You got to see it as the blessing.
Yeah.
And anyway, to date of the story, she had found 2 of the puppies, and there was one more missing, and she was still down there looking for it. And she said, she's not stopping till she finds the other one. So I just thought, I don't know, the whole part about going through cockroaches and you know, I was like, wow, you really have to have a passion,
Yeah,
as opposed to going, oh, damn, that's so sad. They went down the drain. I mean, no, I'm not trying to be funny though. I mean, seriously, because how many times do we consider something done because we can't do it? We think, I can't do that.
right.
I mean, and it's the same in every one of our stories on some level. When the boy saves his brother because he's out to sea, or any of the things happen, it's like, at what point has somebody just gone, you know, okay, I can't do it. It's done. So I just really admire and um, believe that clearly she has a calling,
Hmm.
to do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because that begs the question. I was having some discussions yesterday with people about the idea of how, there seem to be points in time where we have to deal with what is. This is, but even that is a decision that we make. It's a judgment call as to whether or not that what is really is. I mean, if there's puppies in a storm drain, are they lost? And for some of us, it would be, yeah, there's no recovering from that.
Right.
And that's the truth of what is. They're down there. But for others, it's another opportunity to do another thing. So that really is a fascinating concept.
Well, and what did you say? What was the word you used for
Accepting what is.
accepting what is? And but you said something else. But accepting what is, and because I was going to say, is it that, or it was a word you said, and it went out of my head. But are we making educated guesses? Because we go through life making educated guesses in order to survive, right?
Right. Well, that's what I mean. It's a judgment call, which everything is a judgment call to some degree. Even though we can state it as a fact, it's a fact in our belief system. But it may not, the fact of it is the puppies are down there. But the next step from that is,
right,
what happens next?
Yeah.
So I think
it's fascinating.
Something to say about that has everything to do with passion and purpose. Whatever is out there that does disturbing to us, that is disturbing to us, points us to our passion and our purpose. So, if it's something that clicks into our passionate space, then we go, okay, yes, I see the quote facts, and my next level of thinking is, what do I do to address that? And so when are we accepting what is and moving forward? And when is it good to, anyway, what's the combination of those two things? Because I don't think either one is right or wrong. I just think which I know may surprise you that I would say that, but I don't think either one is right or wrong. It's just that it's a different space, and it's a different way of accepting our lives and moving and building around what we know.
Okay. Can you just remember that next time we're having an argument, please? All right. Okay. So on that note, we are going to take a quick break, and we are going to see if Michael Mangus has put his hot dog down and can take us into a commercial break. And we'll be right back to talk about calling on your purpose.
Right here on New.
Get inspiration in an instant. God calls are the gentle and uplifting moment of truth to help you remember that the bright light of God's love is shining right now as you.
It's your God call with Reverend Bill.
Start your 2-week free trial today, and you'll get a phone call 4 times a week from Reverend Bill with an uplifting half-minute message filled with insight, wisdom, story, and fun.
Let your light shine.
You can answer the call to listen to it live or let it go to voicemail so you can hear it later. After the free trial, your subscription is just $5.95 a month. The details are at godcall.org. God calls are disruptive, intentionally.
Whenever you write something, put on a gold star.
They take you away from your routine to remind you about the truth of who you really are. They come at random times between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m., so you won't be expecting them. And somehow, the message is exactly what you need to hear at the time.
Magic is loose in the world.
It's a moment of motivation in the middle of your day. Find out more and start your 2-week free trial now at godcall.org.
And we're back at Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we are having fun. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much. And that was really fun to see the little ad for Wham from Shay. That was cool. I hadn't heard the name of the show or seen it. That looked really fun.
All right. Well, hopefully everybody got a snack. Clearly, everyone on this crew did. I didn't get the memo, but buen provecho, as we say in Espanol. Good eating to you. So we are here today, and take that deep dish pizza down. Y'all are making me hungry. All right. So we're here today talking about calling and purpose. And last week, our listener Kent asked the question, what's the difference between calling and purpose? And so this really put us into some thought, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today and some more about your purpose. So, Gil, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, so I looked up like what is calling and what is purpose. So
Okay.
That's what I do. I try to make Google my friend, as so many people talk poorly about him. So purpose is something set up as an object or end to be attained, intention, the reason for which someone exists or is done, made, used, etc. An intention or desired result and goal. That was the definition of a purpose.
Mm.
And a calling is a strong inner impulse towards a particular course of action. especially when accompanied by conviction of divine influence.
Hmm.
The vocation or profession in which one customarily engages vocation, profession, or trade. What is your calling? A strong impulse or inclination. She did it in response to an inner calling.
Right. So something struck me, especially as you were reading Purpose, um, and I thought of hand tools. I thought of what's the purpose of a screwdriver? The purpose is to fit into a screw and be able to remove it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what it's always used for? No. You use screwdrivers for all kinds of things. You might attempt to take a bike tire off of a bike, or you might try to pry a door open, or you might, lots of things, right? And so are those in the moment, that's not really the purpose of a screwdriver, and yet that's what it's doing. So it just made me open up to this whole idea of like, wow. So what our purpose is, we may be applying all of that energy somewhere else, and still functioning and doing well, accomplishing the goal. But is that our purpose? You look.
Yeah. No, well, I was reading what Shay had said earlier, which I was going to talk about in a little bit. But she said, example, homelessness really disturbed me, so I'm doing something about it. It's my passion and purpose to create happy campers and tiny castle homes. I'm coming up with ideas. And I want to talk about that, but I want to talk about it in a minute, because I think we are called to our purpose in different ways. And sometimes it's out of anger or discontent, or something that we feel
Is out of alignment somehow.
out of balance. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's through passion. So I want to talk about that. What I want you said is, I think that um, our calling is how we fulfill our purpose. I think that I think we all have a calling. We all have a calling. And yeah, I mean, if you look at the Bible, or if you look at readings, or if you look at any of those teachings, you'll find that it comes up a lot. Here, this is from the Bible. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. So what that says to me is that we've all been uniquely designed and mandated here on earth to fulfill this calling, this
Unique calling to each one.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe it's not a unique calling, maybe just the expression of how it manifests is. So if the calling may be the same to everyone, it may be to love. That would be my guess. However, how we each show up and do that is different, can be different.
That's interesting. I had someone say to me exactly that the only calling is to be love in the world.
Right. Well, that would be my belief as well. It wasn't me. Who are you talking to?
Well, got to keep myself busy.
But yeah, so I think that, I think that's the way that we live out our purpose. Yeah, is glorifying what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So um, everyone is called for a high purpose, and most send it to voicemail. Thank you, Kevin, Rev Kev. That's yeah. So why would we ignore the call? I think it goes back to, is that what we believe our purpose is? Is that what we uh, can I funnel my passion in that direction so that it motivates me to follow that call? I mean, just having a calling doesn't necessarily get me anywhere unless as Kevin suggested, unless I answer it, unless I pay attention to it, unless I choose to follow it.
Right. Right. Well, and I think that's the challenge. I mean, that's why we're here, right? And yeah, I read something like that quote the other day that was similar. And but it's so true. I mean, how often do we ignore the calling? Just the calling, just the thought that goes through your head, and for lack of a better thing, oh, you really should blah blah. It's time to blah blah. Whatever that is. And Kevin says, for me, purpose is why I do something, anything. Purpose derives from vision, being, and mission, doing. Yes, I agree with that.
Are we in the weeds? Not that others are taking us to the weeds. I just mean I'm feeling a little like, I don't know how to hold all this, because they're all such big concepts, and I think they're such important concepts, you know. And we do it for ourselves. We do it in corporate settings. We do it in communities. We figure out, what's our purpose? What's our passion? What are we being called to? And we use all these words. And what do they mean? What are we really saying?
Well, that's why we're doing this show.
Oh, okay. We're going to answer that. I missed that part. When you
We're
going to
answering
the
this
answers?
And our support team, Rev Kev and Shay, are trying to help us out. Okay. All right. Okay. And we're back. So no, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for that. I don't feel in the weeds. I just feel like we're processing as we speak. And I think, I mean, I think I read like that the first step to accept your purpose. Well, I read a thing that said we all have the same purpose, which, like you said, is to love. They didn't say that. What they said was to serve.
Okay.
Is there a difference? Whole nother show, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's what our show says is it all comes down to love. That's why we're rocking the love, because it is the only, at the end of the day, it's the only thing that can that can combat, that can stand the test of time, right?
And it's the thing that, we say we're about relationship, and love is that glue that maintains all relationship, whether it's, whatever kind it is.
Right. So if you look at when they say that the purpose is to serve, well, then, as you said, then serving is being love.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. So, um, so yeah, I think that once you've established that, then you can really start to tie into your passion, because once you can acknowledge that the love that you are, then you can begin to see, well, how do I amplify that, and how do I move into my passion, right?
Well, if my thing is to love, then I get to make choices that determine, whether I'm going to walk in a direction that expresses that, or whether I'm going to walk in a direction that doesn't. And so I think, we the more we accept that idea that that's where we're going, the more we have the passion to go there.
Okay. But I want to reel this back in a little because
Okay.
it's not it's we're talking like big concepts and conceptual. And I want to bring it back into our lives. So in our lives, how do we get to that place of purpose and passion? For example, I'll use myself. I do a lot and I serve in a lot of places. Um, and and is that, am I following my passion?
Are you following your calling?
Okay, we can start there if you'd like. Am I following my calling? I mean, I think I'm definitely following my calling.
Okay.
I think my calling of being love of, I mean, my,
So you're being.
yeah. So this goes to a whole other question: is one's calling and one's mission, are they the same?
Well, I think kind of what we're saying is that there's an overall calling, and then there's that more specific thing. That this is it right here. This is how I am to do it. That's kind of the mission. This is how I am to do it. By intervening here, by being a part of this, by promoting Y over here,
Well, yeah, but I don't go through life going, you know, is it when I'm choosing, what I'm going to do, is this in alignment with my mission, right? I mean, yes, I could review it all now and see what's in alignment with my mission, but like we don't necessarily, I don't necessarily think like that.
Would it change your time distribution if you did?
You mean would I give as much in other places?
I mean, yeah. Would you just thinking through all of it? Would you cut some things out and amplify others? Would you cut a lot of it out and do something totally different? What would you do if you really?
Oh yeah, I think most
mission,
sorry,
which is kind of your purpose. So go ahead.
no, I think definitely. I think I'm going to say, I'll speak for myself, but I would think generally, if each of us sat down and decided this is my mission, this is my purpose, what's in alignment with it, what am I doing to fulfill it, there would be things we would add and remove, right?
Right.
I mean, I think that that speaks to, for me, am I trying to reach a goal, or am I living the goal? Am I trying to go, oh, I've affected X number of lives by a certain time? No, I'm not. I'm trying to live my life in combination with my passion, knowing that along the way I affect this many people. I don't know. That might be different for Tony Robbins or, whoever, Richard Simmons. It doesn't matter what the calling is, but or anybody that sells a product, they may need to sell a certain amount of products, or Steve Jobs, you know what I mean? So that may be different. I don't know. But for me, it's not different. Now, if my passion is performing and acting and writing and blah, 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 is it my goal to know? I mean, is it my goal to know and live that and do that? Or is it my goal to win an Academy Award and write a winning screenplay. You know, it's different. I think it's different. I mean, for me, there's an interesting balance of both. And but I mean, if my life was to end tomorrow, would I feel like I had done what I was here to do?
Hmm.
For the most part. Of course, if I was the critic reviewing it, could I make a few different choices, or you know add something else to the list or take away? Yeah, of course. We can all do that.
So do you ever feel called, like you feel like there's something or some direction you ought to go, like, or it's time to release some job and move into something else, or even just release the job and be open to what's next because you don't know, but something that's calling you in a direction that would require that would require you to give up some of the things that you like and enjoy at some level.
Why do I feel like this has gotten extremely personal?
Well, it is. It's very personal now. It's all about you. But only because of your example. I'm just saying, is that something that really happens? To me, I think that's the eternal struggle, if you will, is to listen to what's coming through and make the decisions about how I'm going to move forward, and know that I could be doing really wonderful around my purpose and mission, or I could be doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and thank God I'm a New Thought card carrying member, because I get to say both and, right? I get to say both and. Like, clearly, I can only be doing what's exactly right. I mean, that's what we say, right? So I have to trust that on some level, and on the other level, would it be good to, leap from the mountaintop? Yeah, maybe, and let go of certain things. But for whatever reason, I'm either not at that point, or it's not the right time, or I mean, I have to think like that. That's just me. But yeah, I definitely think I could try it differently.
Yeah. What flashed through my head was my experience in Costa Rica on the zip line. when when they were setting me up to do the Superman move, which you do with a partner behind you, and you put your legs with them, and then they adjust your harness and you're hanging forward and you're holding on, and then they say let go. And so all that's holding you is the harness and the person behind you, but suddenly you've let go. And I was having a really good experience on the zip line. and so was this the push to have the next level of good experience, or was this insanity? And I think that's really that's a lot of what happens in our lives in terms of making decisions.
Insanity.
Well, yeah, definitely that runs in my family. Um, the But Kevin says a calling evolves, same as a vision or mission. And I think that's true too. I mean, I think does the calling evolve, or is the calling revealed in process? Because we have to engage with each level of the call.
Well, everything evolves.
Uh-oh.
I mean, how can everything not evolve? I mean, we evolve. So how can things not evolve? However, if the basic calling is to love or to serve, that's the basic calling. Of course it evolves. I'm not yelling at you, Kevin. I just got passionate for a minute.
Ooh.
But the basic calling is it's gonna evolve, but it's still the basis of it is gonna be to serve, to love. It's like making soup, right? If you're making chicken soup, the basis of it is going to be chicken. You can't get around it unless it's plant-based, and I don't want to talk about that. But you know what I'm saying? You just can't. You can't. And it's like you were saying about the screwdriver. It's like, yeah, everything in the kitchen, the knives, the forks, the spoons, they're all there for the same purpose, to eat with, and they all serve different purposes. Like, you can't cut the Thanksgiving turkey with the spoon, you know? So
Unless,
even though
unless
their calling may be the same, their purpose isn't. Plant-based chicken, it happens. Don't there's like plant-based everything. That's
yeah.
all.
Well, what struck me in that was, does the calling evolve, or does my understanding and ability to engage with the calling evolve? I mean, what's evolving in this? Do we say that spirit, which we say is love, which is all that, is already fully whole and complete, and we're engaging with it in more full and robust ways as we evolve into who we are? Even though, so here it is. It's the whole thing is based on a conundrum, because the other side of that is I am whole, perfect, and complete when I start. So there you go. And yet I'm evolving into who I am.
Well, then that's what we say, right? We're remembering.
Right.
So are we evolving, or are we regressing? Are we regressing to emerge forward?
Ooh.
I need a nap. Yeah, no, but it's true. But I think you're right. I mean, it's like, we can only. It's like climbing to the mountaintop, right? You're walking up the mountain and you get a vision of the valley in all these different levels, and it's different when you get to the mountaintop. So along the way, we're going to see, different views.
Different views, different aspects, different things are emphasized. The lake looks bigger, the lake looks smaller, all that kind of stuff.
And Kevin says perhaps the calling comes in parts to the whole, which is the primary calling to be loved, loving, and lovable. Yes. That's where I think we have gotten to. I think that's absolutely right, right?
Well, what strikes me in there is this idea of the calling being love leads to loving and lovable. That's big.
And Shay says solving all the philosophical and spiritual mysteries in an hour. Yeah. Well, that's why we have more shows here on New Thought Media Network. You don't have to stop solving here. You can continue the exploration and the discovery on Shay's show, or on numerous other shows on Mr. Mangus's show. There's so many different ways to explore the message. So, yeah, I really wanted to get to some keys to finding your purpose and your passion, because, again, I always get to this place where I think, like, what do people, like when people say, I don't know, I don't have a passion for that, or I don't know what my purpose is. And so I just wanted to talk about a couple of ways that maybe that we could support you in figuring that out. And I think for me, one of the most important things is just thinking about things you like. Like that you like to do, where you find that joy when you're with your friends, when you're, if you're at a job that you have things that you like about it, or out with people. And it doesn't have to be like even things that are, it doesn't have to be the whole concept of like, aha, that's my passion or my purpose. But like, if you know that, like I know that Gil likes being with people. He likes talking to people. He likes getting to know people. Like, that is one of his passions, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so things like that you can start to break down, so okay, so maybe you don't need maybe you need a people job, as opposed to being locked in a cubicle and not happy in your daily work. I'm just I'm equating it as if we're taking it into our daily work for some reason. But what other ways would you say um, people could start to explore that?
Well, I think you hit on something. One is, just beginning to be aware of what feeds you, what feeds us, that supports us in reaching into that realm. I think listening to the places where we go, nope, that's not it, absolutely not. Um, or and maybe a different way to say that is those places where something comes up and it scares us, and so we don't want to go for it. Because I think sometimes that is the thing that's, oh, that's something we need to look at more closely before we just push it aside.
And I want to go backwards since we don't have a lot of time, because I think the first key, and maybe this is something that if you're struggling or if you're thinking about it, you could just start with this, that start with the right perspective. And I'm going to equate that to what we say in Science of Mind and New Thought is like, change your thinking, change your life. Start with that positive thing. Like if you go out looking for your purpose and your passion, going, I don't know, I haven't found it in all these years. Why am I going to find it now? If you have that kind of an attitude, but if you can really look at it as, opening up your mind and really like, what do I love? What makes me happy? Finding what is your key to connection, and just those happy spots, like those puppies in the drain. I mean, in the drain, like that makes her happy. Shay says, explore what you love and what you're good at and see what overlaps in one way. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the perspective is approaching everything with your childlike curiosity, being open to what it is. I think that's kind of what you were getting at. That if we cut it off, then there's no chance we can really explore it. But if the perspective is everything is a possibility and everything is here, then I can really honestly go, well, I put myself into that. It doesn't work for me. But if I go, that isn't going to work for me, I'm not doing it. Just kind of how I feel about asparagus. That's not going to work.
Yeah. And then, but the other thing I would say to that is what Shay said earlier in the show that I said I was going to go back to. Here I am. Good on me. Is she's passionate about the homeless and, building homes and creating, there we go, homelessness that disturbs her. So if something disturbs you, that's another alarm set off in your brain that you might be passionate about finding equality for people, making sure everyone's fed, making sure everyone's housed, making sure everyone has that, the same luxuries that you may have, or necessities. So I think that if you're open, you can get that message either way.
Well, I want to say something that struck me as you said that, and that can show up in wildly different ways. I mean, Shay's out there saying, I'm interested in doing this, and I'm working on building that, and I'm promoting this, and there's somebody out there sitting in their lawyer's office examining cases to figure out how to how to adjust these things and make them fair in the courts. And there's somebody else in the state house trying to figure out how to create policies and procedures which will, so I mean, there's all these different ways to approach the same thing.
Yes.
And so maybe that's where our passion for the law, we might combine it with our discomfort with what's going on to certain people in our world and figure out how to put those two together. And now that calling to serve here combined with my passion becomes my purpose. Ooh.
And it goes back to, did you say this is a Marianne quote? Each of us
Yes.
has a unique part to play in the healing of the world. Marianne Williamson. Yes, each of us has a unique part, and there's so many integral ways to get to that. So we hope that maybe you've heard one of them or something has sparked your interest or your desire to go out and explore more or dive deeper into your passion or listen to your calling. Any one of those things are good. And I think that wraps us up for this week. Make sure and check
Thank
out.
you, everyone, being here. It's been
Yes.
fun.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you out there and all of you who don't reveal your names and are so mysterious. We know you're there and we appreciate you. So we're so glad to see you. And we're just sending our love out to our New Thought Media crew out at the World Parliament of Religions. And we'll see you next week right here when we hope you'll come rock the love with us. Bye.